Major Mohammed Ali Shah with us on the broadcast. Major Shah, our foreign minister is in Australia. We do not really expect any sort of public statement to come out on these growing attacks, but we do expect that the matter will be seriously taken up with his Australian counterpart and also with authorities in Australia, because here we have our foreign minister, spelling out India's growth story in Australia. He says that India is a bright star. India will continue to grow steadily. Australia has been, ever since Chinese aggression increased, in our region, has been looking at India to be it's a resilient partner here. We also have the Quad. There is so much that's happening between India and Australia, and amidst that, we now see that there are several elements that are trying to create some sort of awkwardness and issues between India and Australia. But these are matters that have to be nipped in the bud and have to be taken very seriously.
Absolutely, Devika. The thing is, we always have had a very good relationship with Australia. There are a lot of Indians working in Australia at the moment, and at this time, and we have a very good Indian ambassador to Australia, Mr. Manpreet Vohra. He's a very, very senior and a very reputed IAFS officer. In fact, so he has taken up this matter with the embassy over there, and on a large scale, in fact, with the government over there. We also have our External Affairs Minister, Mr. EAM Jaishanker, in Australia right now. And of course, though he had gone for a different visit altogether, he had gone for a diplomatic visit to strengthen our ties and to speak on technology and to speak on various other aspects that we can partner and we can jointly do with Australia, because we are also members of the Quad with Australia, as you rightly brought out, with America, Japan, Australia and India. But at the same time, when he is present there, and this first yesterday on the channel, you had discussed about the attacks in Australia, and now again there's a threat in Brisbane, and the caller identified himself calling from Pakistan, and he says you have to chant Jai Khalistan and such things at least 5 times if you want to celebrate Mahashivratri on 19th, that's after 18th, that is. Firstly, these are no threat should be taken lightly, Devika, 100%, because it's not worth losing a single life over a threat which you do not take seriously. Right, so this threat should be taken seriously. Secondly, at the same time, let me tell you, they do not have the courage. I hope they don't have the courage, in fact, I would say that, rather to actually go ahead and do anything. Empty mess vessels make no more noise. Barking dogs seldom bite. So I don't think there's anything to really actually worry about. We should take it seriously. They would not be able to cause any harm or any damage. These are all ball talks. I don't see them coming forward. But having said that, I'm also saying that this should be taken seriously, should not be taken lightly. Now, when our External Affairs Minister met Penny Wong, in fact, see, anything if you want to, you have to first break the ice, you have to make the atmosphere very light first, before you get on to talking business. So he gifted her a cricket bat, which was signed by our cricket captain, Rohit Sharma, and Penny Wong in return gave him an Australian cricket jersey, which with Jaishanker written on it. In fact, Australia is going to be going to be an active partner at the Raisala dialogue, which is scheduled from 2nd to 4th. In fact, in April again in Sydney, we have the Sydney dialogue, where again our foreign minister would go there. In fact, and this is a start of, since we have taken over the G20 summit, the presidentship of the G20 summit, we will be heading it. So this is just, we will set the ball rolling by actually meeting other nations as well. Unfortunately, Iran had to cancel it last moment. The foreign minister cancelled it because we had released a promo video where in a 2-minute video, a 2-second blink and miss was where the president's image was there of Iran, and there were women cutting their hair in the protest of the hijab. So unfortunately, that visit was to get cancelled, but otherwise we are going strong with the Raisala dialogue, and I'm certain that an attack on the Gayatri temple, or when they come for, or attack means not just physically but even verbally, when you threaten somebody, I mean that. So that would not be taken lightly by the Indian authorities. I am sure the Indian ambassador, Mr. Manpreet Vohra, the External Affairs Minister, Mr. EAM Jaishanker, who himself has been a very senior bureaucrat, who's been an IFS officer himself, very capable, very able, they will have their way of resolving it out. But this thing has to be resolved in the butt. It is not that someone issued a threat or someone attacked Indians over there, or someone damaged the temple over there, so they should get a they should get a punishment, but they should get the most severe punishment. An example should be made so that nobody comes forward and does it. But I would say the ideology of the entire so-called Khalistan movement has to be nipped right there in the bud, Devika.
Right, absolutely. But at the same time, Major Shah, what exactly can one expect? You know, do we expect that some sort of a message now needs to be given out by, say, authorities in Australia? Because like I said, none of these matters will be discussed publicly. We don't expect our foreign minister to make a statement on these issues because you don't want to also, you know, give any sort of importance to these Khalistani elements. We have, of course, we must ensure that they know that we've taken note of the fact that this can't go on. That's, you know, that's about it. The note is not that, oh, there are alarm bells now going off because of this growing Khalistani element in Australia. But at the same time, some sort of assurance there needs to come from some authorities in Australia that at least they're doing their bit, pardon me, to, you know, take care of these unruly elements on the ground.
Absolutely, Devika. You know, of course, as you rightly said, we cannot expect the foreign minister to just take out this. Of course, he has this concern that would be there. It would be troubling him, I'm sure. Since he had gone there with an agenda, with a different purpose altogether, with a motive that, okay, these are the points to be discussed, these are the points to be resolved. And of course, it's apart from our Raisina dialogue, which is happening on 2nd and 4th till the 4th of March, the April 4th and 5th, the Sydney dialogue, happening in Australia, organized by the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, ASPI, on and the India's Observer Research Foundation, ORF. That's going to be of prime importance, and it will get the two influential countries of Indo-Pacific region, because both of the Australia and the India's foreign policy is very, very influential in the global region. I would say they would discuss that primarily, and of course, there is, in fact, I'm sure without him, see, they say many times silence also speaks a lot. So even if a foreign minister doesn't have to say it out blatantly, the Australian ministry over there, the government, they themselves would be slightly embarrassed that at a time when the Indian foreign minister is here, such a thing is happening in Australia with the temples, with some of the Indian citizens were attacked, and this is what's happening. So I'm sure it would be resolved to a great extent. As I said earlier, that the entire ideology of terrorism, of be it any terrorism of any form, has to be nipped in the bud completely. Because I'll give you an example: by killing one Osama bin Laden, that doesn't mean that the terrorism came to an end. We had Al-Zawahiri after that. Now we have a former lieutenant colonel from the special forces of the Egyptian army who's residing in Iran. He is now the head of Al-Qaeda. So now we cannot really, we have to, be it Khalistan, be it Al-Qaeda, be it any terrorism, the ideology has to be nipped in the bud, Devika.
Absolutely.